Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love, and we're in Soul Talk. And thank you for being here with us. Today, we have one of my favorite persons that I've been around for a long time. Her name is Maryanne Savino. Like many of you know her already. And for the ones that don't know her, let me tell you a little bit who she is. That we are going to have really this pleasure to have her here today, all of us. Maryanne Savino, she's a Starseed Empath. She's a sonic alchemist, Chantress and channel for vibration sounds that we call light language or language of the light, Ascension guide and educator, and she's a warm priestess. And Maryanne, um I have taken classes with her of light language because I did not trust myself and I was too much fear, but she don't have that issue. That's why she was one of my teachers because she was amazing. But she also give us some activations and so forth. And if you're ready today to receive some activations and receive a message that is so powerful of the energies that right now in this moment for the collective, she is the person to go to and I highly recommend her. And thank you, Marianne, for being here with us.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate this.
I'm so grateful to be here. I'm really excited. We're in very powerful times. Oh, gosh, we're having so much solar activity right now, and it's really affecting many people. Many people are telling me they're feeling exhausted and what's going on, and why am I so tired, and having all these intense symptoms, these ascension symptoms that seem to be getting even stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And I realize, I don't want to say that we shouldn't pay attention to our bodies when they're telling, when our bodies are telling us something. But at the same time, focusing too much on it can actually propagate it even more. I think what happens, notice what's happening, pay attention to your body and what you need and take care of it, but try not to forget about making some kind of time and space to create joy in your life of some kind, or something that when you're engaged in it, it makes you feel good. Are we having feedback? You can
No,
still hear.
sorry, I just opened this one so like that I can read the comments and you got feedback. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I want to make sure it wasn't coming from me. I think I shut my sound off, but
It was me.
okay. Um, yeah, I feel lately what I've been doing, because we could easily get caught in the looping of our minds of the old story, of the old patterns and programs, because it's like it's there and it's waiting. Like the minute you wake up and all of a sudden you're back in that belief and programming, like, oh my gosh, again today I feel this again. And what I'm noticing, if I get right up and don't pay any mind to it and just say, okay, it's fine. I even start to affirm out loud, I'm open and receptive to new life patterns, to a new way of living and being. Higher power within me, please show me, guide me today so that I can step into this beautiful power that lives within me that I sometimes forget. Sometimes I forget who I am. And, I've noticed that there's definitely a change in my consciousness
Yes.
when I do this, you know?
I have, yes, I totally agree with you. I used to have lupus, RA, fibromyalgia. I was swollen and pain and not energy and so forth. And when these energies are coming down and I don't have the energy or I can go to sleep, and those are were some of the symptoms before without the pain or without the swelling and so forth. And I like start panicking, like, oh my God, they're coming. Like, no. If I put in attention to that, it is what I'm gonna believe it is. We're
Absolutely.
creating in the moment whatever we're thinking and feeling. And being scared is gonna just attract something that I really do not want. I already heal of that. I don't want that back again. So whatever we put our attention, I totally agree with you because after I ignore it and it's like, okay, I can't sleep, continue writing, or go
Right.
painting or do something. Don't focus in, this is getting me freaked out. It will go, it will pass.
Yeah.
I have learned that my sleep patterns also have changed so much that I was resisting because I wanted to be part of the system at the same time.
Right.
The system tell you have to get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and you have to go to sleep a certain time and so and so, and you have to fit in because everybody do it this way. But if I don't work in the same system, if I fight so much
Create
for
your
being
own.
part
Yeah.
of the system,
Yeah.
why am I fighting for it? I will go to sleep sooner or later. It's like, yes, I will be so tired. Like last night, I went to sleep around 9 o'clock. That never happened. But it's like, okay, my body's sending me to bed. Just go to bed and sleep. And yeah, I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And like, okay, now it's time to wake up and work. You know? But if we listen to our body's telling us what we are needing, and we don't have to fit into the system. That's what we're trying, all of us, to
That's
do.
our ego. I feel like that's the ego aspect of ourselves that does not want to step into change because it's frightened, it's confused, it doesn't understand because it wants to stay in what's familiar and the comfort zone of what it's used to.
Mhm,
So we can, create a new pattern of thought.
mhm,
Or even, you notice, okay, I'm feeling this way. Like you said, I have this pain. So rather than focus on the pain, I'm going to do something for myself today that makes me feel good.
mhm,
I want to change that thought. Okay, I'm paying attention. Obviously, the body's telling me there's pain for a reason. Is it something that needs my attention right away, that it could be something important for my health? Or is it just that pattern? Usually you have a good sense of it because I ask myself, is this something that I need to be very concerned about? Or is this something that's passing through, but I'm holding on to it because it's the ego that says, no, no, you better not go because I need you here to keep me small and in the comfort zone and you can't leave. When the higher power, the soul self, is basically trying to move us out of the old into the new multidimensional nature of who we are and why we're here. We're coming into eclipse season,
yes.
and yeah, it's pretty powerful because April 30th, we have a new moon partial solar eclipse in Taurus at 10 degrees. And Taurus is all about the senses. The sun just moved into Taurus last night. So we moved out of the fire of Aries, the warrior, go forward, make that, thing happen that you've been wanting to. That's okay. It was good. It gave us a little boost, but I think that's probably why we've been so exhausted too, on top of being exhausted from other stuff. But now that we've come into Taurus, Taurus is also about the mother. It's the sacred cow, Hathor, the Egyptian goddess with the horn, the bull horns. Um, getting into the senses and pleasure in our bodies and taking time to really bask in pleasure Let our senses be indulged a little bit. Like we say, oh, we don't want to get caught up in addiction and don't, well, no, but sometimes that sensory of taste, of scent, of touch, of listening to beautiful music, looking at beautiful images. I think right now that's a nice time to engage in the senses of our soul, and beyond the five senses of touch, feel, scent, visual, feeling, all of that. Is that beyond that we have a sixth sense, the multidimensional senses also, that of course, as we step deeper into this ascension pathway and that's taking us into other dimensions, it's time, give yourself that space to open up to those things, because this next eclipse coming up is pretty powerful, even though it's only a partial. But then on the 15th of May, we have the opposite of Taurus, which is the Scorpio full moon total lunar eclipse. And with Scorpio, it's all about, the death and rebirth. What is it that I wish to clear out? Like, you want to plant your seeds of intention on the Taurus solar eclipse, because that's a new moon. It's a new beginning. It's also the dark of the moon, is that deep feminine primordial, the unknown, to go into that essence. And then we come into that full moon 2 weeks later, in Scorpio, which is, what is it that I wish to let go of? I planted seeds on the new moon 2 weeks ago. Let them start to blossom. What is it, though, that I wish to let go of? Where now the light coming in on the full moon is illumination. It's shedding light on things that have been hidden, especially with an eclipse. So these are nice opportunities. Take advantage of it,
And
because, yeah, go ahead.
and what I would tell everybody is, like, if you don't know what you have to let go, because yes, when we're waking up, we're not becoming aware. We don't know how to let go of those things. Well, one of the things how you can let it go, it is something is making you react. It is triggering you. That's where you have to work it out. It is not the person that is making you trigger. It's not the thing that is making you get mad or sad or whatever. If something is making you react, that's where is the work. That's the thing where you have to let go.
Yes.
And it's up to you. It's your choice. We have the free will to choose if we want to let it go or not. But you don't want to continue repeating the same pattern. This is the best timing to actually let it go.
Absolutely. Perfect. That's a beautiful, and like I said earlier about be open to new life patterns, change those thoughts, change those beliefs, and say, this is an old story. You could even look at look in the mirror and say right to your ego, I'm listening to you. I am paying attention. But, this is an old story that perhaps served me in the past. But
Yes.
now I want to move forward into a new beginning, onto a new horizon, step onto a new platform to create something wonderful, something new that I've never explored before. And that's where the ego gets frightened. But you can take the ego by the hand and say, it's going to be okay, because I'm not leaving you out. Because one of the things I have a problem with, and I did this myself early on, is trying to get rid of the ego. Because it's uncomfortable, the first thing we want to do is get away from it.
Yes. But
Let's
it's
try,
our
you know,
but it's our best measurement in what we have to work. What I tell everybody, like, is you have to become friends of your ego, because it's actually your helper. It's telling you what do you
exactly.
have to work. Like, become friends with it.
Absolutely. Befriend the part of you that you avoid. Like,
Yeah.
go within and say, I know sometimes it's hard for you. I feel you. I see you, that you're struggling, but I'm here to tell you, you don't have to worry, because I'm taking you with me. Everywhere I go, you're coming with me. And you don't have to worry about anything, because I'm taking care of you. This is the higher self. We bring in that beautiful, multidimensional, galactic, angelic, source of God, the spark that we are, that beautiful source of the creator that we forget that we are. And all these opportunities when we have eclipses and equinoxes and solstices and stargates, anytime we have an opening of something coming in, we have an opportunity to say, you know what, I want to step into that part of myself that's really amazing. Because sometimes, the ego is in that fear, and just say, it's okay. You're okay because I'm here. I'm here to take care of you. This usually goes back to perhaps if we had a trauma as a child, or perhaps we had a karmic trauma from our ancestral heritage back from other lifetimes, maybe not even from us, it could be from an ancient one in our lineage that got it got imprinted down, because whatever does not heal in our ancestors keeps getting passed down. So our great grandparents to our grandparents to our parents, then to us, and then to our children, and then on, so we can say, you know what, and I'm not saying this is always easy, but the fact that we have the ability right now to call in all these wonderful helpers, from our family of light, that watch over us, that walk along with us and say, I definitely need your help today. I've been doing that a lot lately. If I wake up anxious or confused or unsure, I get caught up in the pattern, of the old. I say, I'm having a tough time today. I could really use your help, because, this is a planet of free will. And if we don't ask for help,
They can't help.
they're not going to step in and say, okay, here you go. When I say, I definitely need your help today, can you help me? Usually pretty quickly, or if not, by the end of the day, I've noticed that something has lifted, or I can breathe again, and I can step in to a new pattern, a new pathway, and say, oh my gosh, it's going to be okay because I'm not alone. That's one of the biggest lessons, I think, for every soul, no matter our own personal, whatever we each have, is it safe for me here in this life, in this body, for me to step into my power as a multidimensional being? Can I remember that I volunteered to be here because I am strong enough, or I would not be here?
Yes. And just to clarify to everybody, this is my point of view, that everybody has something to heal. And there's a past trauma from this timeline, the majority. That's beside of the past traumas that we have from past lives. Whoever doesn't have that, it will not be here, because we're all healing. I don't care if the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama has still things that he have to heal. That's why he's still here.
That's right. Beautiful. I totally agree with you. When I hear people say to me, and I've had this happen during sessions with practitioners, and I really believe they mean well. I've done it. Listen, I've done it too. I've said, oh, you've already healed that, move on. But, it's not about that. If I could say, even if I have healed it, or maybe perhaps there's another layer here, I won't make it my identity. It doesn't have to become a life sentence. But there's something tugging at my sleeve saying, wait a second, you've forgotten something here. Please don't walk away now. You've worked so hard to get here. Why would you abandon me now? Get back here and take a look at what's going on inside here. And then you stop and think, oh gosh, like you said, oh, and no, I thought I healed this. But, I think it was Matt Licata, who's an amazing psychotherapist, spiritualist, who said it's not only about the healing, or perhaps the healing happens when we hold ourselves in love and compassion, not even having to do anything like I have to fix this. We're not here to be fixed. We're not broken.
Yes.
We have wounds. We have fragmentation of our souls that perhaps got, snipped off because of trauma.
Mhm.
But we can say to those pieces, come back, I want to bring you back inside of me. Because I believe in a sense, we really are already whole, but it's the awareness of our wholeness that we forget.
And there's also, I seen there are layers and layers. Yes, we can say we're whole, but there is a doubt. Am I good enough? Am I deserve
Worthy.
this? Am I worthy for this? And that's a different layer, because you can get the first layer, but then you're going to have a different layer, and you're going to go
Right.
a different layer until you actually feel whole, because you're whole, but you can accept that wholeness in yourself.
You're right. And you said a different layer, which is great because that other layer gives you another experience. That, remember, the soul doesn't come down here to just hang out and say, okay, I'm waiting for this ascension. Let's just get on with it. It wants to have experiences or it wouldn't be here. And when I mean experiences of all kinds, different, some difficult, some not difficult, some, that I've never had before, or some that I've had before, but this is a new life, a new energy, and I want to have it again and see where it can take me. Can it take me even further? Can it show me something that I didn't get before? I think we have so many opportunities to explore. And, I think that's it, it can be very exciting if we allow it.
Yes. Because every time the ego is telling us, this is irritating you so much, it's like, oh, but I already heal it. So I should not be feeling this. I should feel only light and love.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're feeling it, put attention to that, because it is important. It is important to put attention to that, because maybe there is a different layer. Maybe you work with this layer on top, but there is a deeper layer. And when you get rid of that layer and you have the same situation present in front of you again, and you don't react, then that's when you heal it.
Not only that, that's very true, but remember, we're in a time on the planet where we have never been before. So you may have a karmic imprint that you're working on from the past, a trauma that wanted to be explored and healed during this actual time in humanity, in the expansion and heightening of our consciousness, that we're going to places that we've never been before, so it gets to have it in this time.
Yes.
Again, it's like taking that little orphaned, frightened child within who wants to, really is looking to have an adventure, but is so frightened because the trauma just has them incapacitated. I mean, I remember some of my childhood traumas. Some of it was horrifying to the point where I completely blocked it out. And then later on, when I got hit with a health issue, or the love of my life left me, or I lost my job, or a loved one passed away, and then boom, here
Mhm.
comes this. It's like the big bang, something gets triggered and boom, it starts coming up to the surface. And I'm like, oh, I can't breathe. I got to get out of here. This is really, it,
Or because we don't want to be feeling too much pain.
right.
At the same time, we start telling us ourselves stories, different stories, that because they're less painful.
Yeah.
And when we're hit with the truth, and it's like, oh gosh, I did not realize that I was this was happening, and this is real. And if you're honest with yourself, that's how you can heal it. Or else you can continue lying to yourself the rest of your life, but you're not gonna heal it.
No.
So you affront that truth.
And you're not going to have the experiences that your soul wants to have here. It wants to experience the pain, but it also wants pleasure. And you need those two to know one another.
Yes.
But you know what I think is happening? I can speak only for myself, but I also see it all around me. It's easier to stay caught up in the net of the pain. Like you could get trapped in the net of pain, and then the victim, and then, oh my God, I'm never going to be okay. This is just too much. And that's when you got to turn toward that pain with compassion, with unconditional love, with acceptance that it's okay if there's pain here. It's okay if I made a mistake. It's okay if some days I can't hold it together and I fall apart, and then I wait to let myself actually fall apart and fall into the mud, into the messiness, and let myself have that experience too. Because the minute you fall into the mud, into the messiness, is the moment when the light comes back in, and the lotus, no mud, no lotus. We're the lotus. Fall into the mud, and become the flower, become the light that you are.
And the funny part, this is kind of touching one of the things that I just been passing from the last week. I've been passing through a lot of stuff, and suddenly you just touch me, and I start crying and crying and crying, or the sunset came out at different hour, and I start crying and crying, and my daughter came with me and tell me, "Mom, you need therapy. You can't be crying all the time." Like I don't need to cover that up, to explain that to someone else, because the old me, the judgments of others, like, oh yes, I have to do something about it. I can't be crying, but start honoring that cry. Why I feel like that? Why I'm feeling that so sensitive? What is really behind that? And I don't have to please anyone, so I don't feel, so I don't have to please someone else,
And
including,
you're
including my daughter.
showing your vulnerability, because I think one of the problems, people are afraid to go into their vulnerability because we're taught the minute, what do as a child, stop that crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. And the moment, if a child falls down and skins their knee or whatever happens, let the child have the expression of that, oh, my knee hurts. Help me, mommy, it hurts. If you let the feeling in that moment be experienced, then it doesn't get stuck in the body, in the cells.
Yes. And
And
anyone
then,
to cry.
yeah, to me, I think, that was a big problem. I used to cry all the time, but by myself, because sometimes, yeah, I would hear my mother or so, oh, stop crying. And so I would stifle it in. Then I'd go in the corner somewhere and I would let the tears flow. But it wasn't like now when I cry, it's like, get out of the way, because it's like a flood is going to come out and I'm going to let the anger come out. And if I was able to do that as a child, I wouldn't have had to carry all that around with me into my adulthood, where it turned into dysfunction, disease, disharmony of some kind. Now, of course, there's no blaming. I'm not blaming my mother. I'm not blaming anyone else, my teachers, my sister, my friends, whoever said, oh, stop the crying or whatever. This is what they were taught. And, as I got older, I remember one time, because my mother would, as a child, stop the crying and she'd smack me. One time, I was during my menopause, I started having all kinds of, the trauma from the past. And my mother said, it's okay, cry. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a whole different mother. Where did she go? Like she let it out, and we would cry together. And that was extremely healing for me. I'm so glad that I got to have that with her before she passed into spirit world, because I was able to do so much healing. I had thought at one point, well, I have to let her be who she is, and you do, but at least I got to have that experience, that during a time in my life when I was going through a very powerful change, that I had my mother who could show up for me. Instead of saying, stop that crying, say, let it out, let yourself feel. It was beautiful. I mean, if it.
Oh gosh, you were very lucky. Mine was telling me when I started with my menopause, like I never passed through that. So something has to be wrong with you. It was, I had to work it out by myself without telling her, oh, the hot flashes or whatever I was passing through, because she didn't pass through that. We all have different mothers, but it's beautiful having healing that with your mother, because as daughters with our mothers, there is always that issue. And I something that I've been researching a lot, and I wanted to ask you, and I can find the perfect way to in front of a lot of people might feel this. I've been searching more for the orphan adult because many of us, and there's not too much information about this.
Right.
There is, we feel sorry for the orphan kids because they lost their parents and so forth.
Right.
But there is also a big, big pain when we're adults and we lost our family or parents or whatever. The orphan adult, it is very it's very painful at the same time. I can't say it as the same as kids because, but we have to honor that.
Are you saying meaning that the orphan adult in us when we physically lose a parent to death? Is that what you mean? I wasn't sure what you
Yes,
meant.
exactly.
Okay,
That's
so
just feeling
yes.
that sensation of losing your family.
Well, the way I see it, and of course everybody's going to have their own experience, the orphaned, wounded child grows up into the wounded, orphaned adult, carries those patterns. So, yes, if you lose a parent, like I lost my father to a tragedy when I was only 2 years old, but I lost my mother when I was a grown adult. It was about 6 years ago. And a lot of that came up again. And so we always go back to the child, but also to say, yes, this wounded child, but there's also a wounded adult in me. Can I meet that wounded adult like a best friend? Can I befriend the adult? Like, see the wounded child, see the wounded adult, the orphaned child, then see the healthy adult and healthy child, or I want to make it sound unhealthy, or the balanced or harmonious part of us with the higher power. Take those two beings, both the wounded child and the wounded adult, and say to them, it's okay, cry, yell, tell me what you're feeling. It's okay to feel if you're alone, but you're not, but it's okay to have those feelings, and let that part of you know that I'm right here. I'm watching you, I'm witnessing you, I'm here. What can I do to help you? Um, I accept you just as you are. You've done nothing wrong. You're amazing. You're beautiful. Like, really give something encouraging, because, yes, I think you're right. When we lose a loved one, let's say, as an adult, we don't have a whole lot of support around us. It's like, okay, it's time to get back to work now. You've cried for 2 days and now you got to get back to life. Well, it's 6 years ago that my mom passed away, and sometimes I'm completely fine. It's been 6 years. I know she's happy where she is and she's healed, and I feel closer to her now that she's on the other side. Just about, maybe it was about a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about her and I just burst into tears, and that grief came up so strong. And I thought, oh my God, where did this come from? And rather than say, stop it, you can't let this take you over, I said, no, I'm just going to I took a blanket, I put it around me with a pillow. I laid down and I cried and I cried and I called on my mother. I felt her presence with me. And within a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes, I was okay. I started feeling, because I let myself go to that place.
For me, my dad died about 16 years ago, and And the memories of my mother dying, just dying, it bring back the pain of my dad. I was closer to my dad than my mother.
Okay.
And the other day I just started crying, and one of my sons asked me, like, it is because my grandmother, like, no, it's because my dad. And then, but he died 16 years ago. It's like, you know what, I'm realizing that I did not cry enough then, because I was needing to be the strong one for my mother, that she was needing me. Now in reality, no one needs me. I can be myself with my kids. I don't have to put another face, because that was the programming then. And now I can be totally me. So I'm gonna cry both of them if I want to, and it doesn't matter. Giving yourself permission to feel and to express,
That's right.
even if I don't want to say that we need permissions. We do have so many restrictions in ourselves that we have to give ourselves permission to feel.
That's true. That's so true. And the grief never ever goes away. Like one time, a friend of mine said something to me like, "My God, your father's been dead for over 50 something years. You have to move on from this." And I said, "You don't understand. You don't ever move on from it. The key, I feel, is live with it in a way that it doesn't become your identity. I'm not the death of my father. I'm not the tragedy that happened to him. But one thing I do know, that pain will always stay with me throughout this life. But the beauty of it, in that pain, is pleasure, is passion. Because if you can take the pain and turn it toward passion and say, how can I take this pain from this trauma and transform it and step into my passion and my power with it? That's why it's there. To say, move on, get on with it, forget it. I caught myself saying to myself one day, berating myself, what's the matter with you? This is ridiculous. He's gone. You don't even remember him. And I thought, oh, wow, where did that come from? The programming.
But there's always the kid trying to pleasure the parents, or trying to feed so they feel proud of you and things like that. The little kid. And when we're adults, many I finally now I feel free, that I don't have to pleasure anyone if I don't want to, that I don't have to please anyone, or they feel happy for who I am or not. But now I can see that, but I can continue seeing people that their parents already died. That's why I was saying that the orphan adult, and they still trying to please their parents that are already dead.
Right. Because
And
once your parents leave and they are out of the human duality and 3D, they become, come back to pure light. All they want for us is the best. They want us to remember the best. They say, I think I remember in a channeling I did, my mother said, "You're the best of me. You're the best of your father. Just remember that." Because that also is really healing. There was a lot of anger and resentment and hurt and blaming of my parents. And then one day I said to myself, you know something? Here I am complaining how wounded I am. They were more wounded than I have been.
that
In
is
some ways, they really, truly were more wounded than I am. And I realize I've been so fortunate that I've had opportunities to work through what they couldn't work through. And maybe that's why I'm here. I'm the one in my lineage helping both my parents, that, both sides, that whatever I can heal within myself, may it go back to every one of my ancestors. And I receive any of the beautiful healing frequencies from my ancestors and the beautiful gifts that that live within my lineage, that I have within me, that I can tap into. Instead of going to always the wound, say, what about the wisdom, the beauty, the strength? That's there too, but we forget it. We have to remind ourselves.
And what do we learn from it? Because at the end, we chose being
That's
born
right.
from them. Why we chose them, and what do we learn from them?
That's
Good
right.
things and bad things, because at the end, that's what it makes us who we are now. And
Yeah.
that is important to observe that.
Absolutely. I'm loving this conversation. I had no idea we were even going to get on this topic, but I'm really like, this is perfect.
Neither.
Um, there's some things I've been doing lately. I feel that it's helpful. I'm actually putting together some material right now for a possibility of some webinars I want to teach. Because I had to go for scans. Many know that I've gone through cancer several times, and I've been talking to my cells and saying, instead of going into the fear, and it's perfectly normal to go into fear when you've been through what I've been through that many times, and what's come with it in the form of whether it's side effects of treatment, or taking however long it takes to heal, which can be sometimes very frustrating, but giving myself the space to be very patient. But what I've been doing is I've been going into the cells and going into my organs and glands and systems and saying, like, talking to them.
Yes.
I have the perfect blueprint for health and wellness. I tap into that beautiful frequency of health and wellness now, and I thank you. Thank you for keeping me healthy. Thank you for showing me how to care for myself. Because when we start to talk to the cells from that place, even if there is disease or disharmony or an imbalance, it shifts. Because now, instead of going in, oh my God, why did I let this happen? You start to blame yourself. I caused this. Why did I let this happen to me? Because I don't believe that, even if the soul chooses it, which I do believe, by the way, whatever imbalance or whatever, like, let's say if you have a pattern in relationships that keeps repeating, we have an opportunity to say, I attract wonderful, healthy, supportive relationships.
Yeah.
If you just had an argument with somebody, honor, okay, this happened, but I attract wonderful, supportive, healthy relationships. Or my mind and my body are in harmony together. My mind and my body are in harmony together. They're working together to keep me healthy and whole. Like, I've really been changing how I speak to myself, what I'm feeling about it. And it's okay if something comes up that, you're feeling uncomfortable about, like, oh God, I have to go in for this scan. And what if they find something? When people say, oh, you better not go into the fear and choose love over fear. First of all, that I don't think that's realistic, because it's completely normal to have fear. Again, if you, instead of trying to get rid of the fear, then again, that's pushing away the frightened child. Say
Yes.
to the fear, you know what? You stop in a lot. You tug at me a lot. What is it that you need from me? Like, invite it in. Say, what can I do to help you? Give it a little, like, all right, I'm going to give you 15 minutes right now to just sit here. Sometimes it sits with me and nothing is said. It just wants to be there with me. And then I hold it. And then I say, okay, thank you. And now I'm going to let you go enjoy or whatever, be wherever you want. And I'm going to let myself have something nice for me.
And something that I was talking to someone yesterday about this. I feel that all the warriors that we had in the history on the planet Earth,
Mm,
every time they went to a battle or every time they have to do something, they went with the fear.
That's right.
That's the only difference, that the people that will stop and not doing stuff, whatever they wanted, or their dreams or whatever, or they did it even with their fear. But that's
That's
the only difference between a warrior and someone that is just,
a warrior goes in with everything. It goes in with its courage and strength. It goes in with its vulnerability, its fear. It goes in with its passion and pain. To me, those are the gold nuggets that gets them through the battle.
yes, because they're not giving up.
That's right. That's right. That's the difference. When you take your fear and rather than scold it and push it away, you take it with you and say, okay, you're a gift to me. I'm going to give you the opportunity to show me. Help me feel you deeply. Guide me through this, because in that moment when you do that, the fear, it's like that fear merges with the love, with the compassion, with the acceptance. You know, it's as if I want to honor all of me, not just the light, fluffy, wonderful, but like you said, that fear going into battle, you know, the doubt, the I'm not good enough, the low self-worth, all of it. I can't do this. I'm going to fall apart. Okay, fall apart, because in a few minutes, when you let yourself fall apart, and you're going to be able to pick yourself back up, and when you do,
Mhm.
wow, the strength is so much more powerful. You've just like went up several notches, you know.
And something that I have learned, and I tell this to all my clients, and is observe what you have done before, and who is the person who you are now. How many battles, or how many fears, or how many forgiveness that you have done in your past, and that you're not the same person. Because when we take the stand to observe our lives, where we have learned from all our past, and the persons who we are in this moment here, we're very different. And
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't mean the next week we're going to be more different. But when we start observing, we're sending our awareness to our change, to our transformation. And that gives us more strength, because we know that we passed that fear a few years ago, or 10
mhm,
years ago when we were kids, and we're now this person. It is going to be easier to go to the next battle, the next
that's right.
right,
It's
because
all
we did it.
cumulative. It's all accumulative. Your, you know, your strengths. You know, it's like you turn your wounds into wisdom.
Yes,
You take your trauma and you transform it.
yes,
That's it. That, to me, that's really what it's about. And no, I'm not saying that it's always going to be easy, but like you said, you know, you go to the battle, you show up with your fear and your vulnerability and your love and your power and your strength. You show up with all of it. It's your might, it's your, you know, your courage, everything that's in you, and you go to battle
yes,
because you're here to survive through whatever struggles and challenges come your way. And the truth is, we're never alone in it. It feels that way
yes,
because there's something in the aloneness that's also really beautiful. Because when you get to that place of feeling so alone, so deeply despaired, that's when you meet the part of you. It's the essence of who your soul really is. And it's being given the opportunity through the struggle to meet that part of you that you possibly never knew existed, that you've never experienced before, that has something so beautiful to share with you, only if we're willing to stop and listen to it,
yes.
you know? I don't know how much time we have, but do you want me to do a transition, or what should we do?
Yes, we should do it. Everybody's expecting that. It's been a wonderful conversation. We need to repeat it soon.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this because I kind of was going to talk a little bit about the eclipses and maybe about the solar energy, even though there's enough information. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of information on my timeline about both the eclipses and the solar activity. I've been reposting. So if anybody wants to know more about that, it's all on there. What I'm getting, because we were talking about wounding and trauma and lineage and childhood and the warrior. We're in the time of Taurus, the mighty bull, the sacred cow, the strength of this beautiful creature that, um, helps us step into our power and gets into our senses. And I feel that this transmission is to help us to get more into the embodiment of our senses, not just the five senses, but even beyond that, but to at least begin with the embodying of our sensory awareness. So I'm going to bring in that energy. So all you have to do is receive, take it in, allow yourselves, if you wish to receive it, just take that in from my heart to yours as we're holding hands and hearts. Asuri shan orvesa koshar, asut enjera kusivasa, meshulai irantarusava, ashakai subia, meshavatai itea, iatea nusha kasandur ishimia, azo itar ishakosovia, anejea anashai ikosonder iaravakaso. Menoshibiara suta ikashepata ibashata, ibekashatura, meshuvia arosendur ibia, atukashai ikasatanda, anashevai iarana, mosha katsaria uviarita, alukata, ebia, asuke, ushamai, ifakua, etinia na shedai, asuri alua, andor ikiata, ashukata. This is to bring softness into the heart. These are from the Venusians. Alua ia kubia, atumia I korasita, ashita nisadoi, alo ira na vai iaruntaraima, abiria subi I kushidia itaina, asuri ikuna, alu ishibi asudidai, alia shandaru sekaya, alua sidia nashibiria kosavai itanoma, andur ikupishai ivatui ide, alu nishimianai ozakoshama muda. Alu irita ikastor vishidi isakosea ashum ira uta kosh ela ubia atia nis iza vozi zizi zovezi zazuji mia suzi vijizi zai ikusudi alu ida ikamoshivai iya mashitia ipishal al ubikasator asishizidi kashisezo zi jajeida. Ilu vilu ilu ilu vilu vi. Aluli luli virisi du virisi. Alulu viru vehi. O viru iri. Alu viru. Elukishi ayaruneva ikikishi iziriada. Anjori amuata. Alua, alua, alua. Andereaya. Aru eshkond ari irano vara opeta, opeta, opeta. And breathe. Thank you.
Thank you. This time I can felt I saw with my third eye the image of them. There were 3 women and 1 man, and they have long white hair, and they had a beautiful energy. Thank you to them.
Oh, thank you. Felt very sweet and soft. I felt that they were infusing us with a softness, almost like a gel substance, to keep us flowing and soft and smooth, so that when the hardness sometimes will come up, to remember it's okay, but to let the softness like smooth out the stuck hardness. And yeah, I felt very soft and sweet, very Venusian, very much. And of course, Venus rules Taurus. So it's interesting that feeling of the mother came in. It was a very soft mother, but there was also, I felt that the mother was in, weaving where the masculine, the father energy was holding the space for her. So he wasn't interfering with her, but he held a space so that she can, not that she even needs it, but I felt that he was supporting her. That's what I got as it came through.
Yes, it was a beautiful energy.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful to you, Monica, for having me on, and for everyone who joined us and who will be watching the replay. Just know how wonderful and precious you are, and that you have um, so much in your being to share in the world. That's you. That makes you uniquely you. That no one can do what you came here to do, to share. So that each of us is sharing a spark of our own light, and when you put each of those sparks together, it's like that's the brilliance of the energy that comes out. It's like spokes of a wheel, and let that light continue to flourish and come out, and keep sharing your gifts, your wisdom.
Yes.
It's very important. You're needed here. We're all needed here.
And I will add to that, there's no need of competition or envy to anyone if you are original you.
That's right. Absolutely. And to beautiful Mother Gaia, for all that she's been going through, for even still to the people in the Ukraine and anywhere else on the planet that are battling and struggling and challenges. Let's hold love in our hearts, compassion, and strength, and we'll send that out wherever it's needed. In particular, your beautiful Mother Gaia, the beautiful blue jewel that we live here with her, and that she doesn't belong to us, that we are sons and daughters of Gaia Ma, children of the stars, who came here to share our light, to remember our light, to create a space for the love to be explored and expressed, and to know that, we are the embodiment of our divinity, of our light, of our love, and that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and not to dishonor the shadow, to also love and honor the shadow, and to remember that we're not just awakening, but we are remembering. We have beautiful guidance in each of us, and to just remember that we're not alone. Our hearts are really the pulsing of our hearts. The beat is the beat of the earth and the beat of the cosmic pulse. And tap on, if you're ever having challenges with being grounded or feeling disconnected, tap on your heart and breathe into your heart, and that will bring you back into the body. Put your feet into the earth and be the roots of a tree. To really just tap on your heart and breathe into your heart. Come back to the breath and the beat of the heart. I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much, Maryanne. We need to repeat this. We need to have you again in Soul Talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us, and for the people that are going to see the replay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.